Hello and welcome to the Sponsorship Warehouse with Carrie and Ali talking all things sponsorship for associations and the wider membership sector. Today we are talking about one of Carrie's favourite subjects, which is how to approach sponsors, or rather how to build out your sponsorship universe.
We are. And by sponsorship universe, we mean who are you going to approach for that opportunity? And we know a lot of people fall into the same trap of going back to the same sponsors again and again. So we want to talk through how to broaden out that scope, how to identify other organisations that might be right fit to sponsor your activity, who to approach, because it's all about the right person at the right time with the right angle, the types of research you need to do, and all of this needs to happen even before you reach out to them. So we're going to talk through a few of our basics that we actually train our teams on when we have new people join the team who are learning the ropes or who might be interning with us. And there are some real basics that help you to get it right, to help build the relationship. And obviously the most important thing is to get that response back, or that hit back, we call it a hit back, when you actually get the company you've been trying to reach out to come back to you and say, this sounds really interesting, I'd love to have a conversation. So we're going to talk you through some of the basics around that today.
It's also the approach that we take when we're doing knowledge transfer with our clients. Like when we're working with our clients day in and day out, they're actually learning our process as well.
Yeah.
So it's part of our sponsorship toolkit training.
It is. And it's one of those really key steps after you're planning, after you've laid out what your partnership criteria and your policy is and working through what your opportunities are. Sometimes reaching out to the market can be really daunting if you don't have those existing relationships or you don't know how to do it. Maybe you're new into it. Maybe you've been in a role and suddenly sponsorships become part of your remit because, your membership subscriptions are plateauing. You've got more of a reliance. You're looking for not necessarily alternative revenue streams, but just rebalancing your revenue streams so you're not so reliant on your membership subscriptions. We've seen that a lot where people that have a natural ability to talk to people or who are in more of a client management or a member engagement role.
Or events.
It often comes through from events. Are being tasked with securing sponsorship. So we're going to be covering through some of those basic areas today to help give you a few hints and tips and really just talk to you about how we do it. There's no
First-hand experience.
There is no golden bullet with Ali and Carrie. It's really about getting a process that works for you and putting yourself into the mindset of who you're approaching, because you can chase your tail, and there's a real different school of sales now. It's not so much your cold calling. It's not peppering people with information. It's not sending them a full email with every single opportunity you've got, because people just don't have the time to review that. They're not picking up cold calling. We're working in a bit of a post-COVID flexible working space now, and people are not sat at their desks all day long. They're flexible working. They're not even at a work desk anymore necessarily, having calls coming through to them. So,
but also just firing out, so we call it sort of throwing the net out far and wide without doing any sort of prelim research and attaching a proposal, like with cybersecurity and all of that shenanigans going on. Nobody's opening attachments. So you send a random proposal to a potential sponsor who's never heard from you before as an attachment. That ain't going to get open.
No, that's in junk.
It is in junk.
It's
You've
in junk.
wasted your time. And if your email structure hasn't been composed in the right way to start with, no matter how much chasing you do to that prospect, they're never going to answer your email and they're never going to open the proposal. You can forget it.
Exactly.
So, Carrie, what's the process that you implement?
So
you talk us through step by step.
I pretty much always start with looking at the opportunity and looking at the topic. So, as an example, say it's going to be a series of 4 breakfast briefings, addressing the use of AI and data and machine learning in your industry. Any industry. It's a hot topic at the moment.
Yeah.
Most senior leaders have got it on their radar. And say you want to run a series throughout 2024 on that.
You're talking like live sit-down breakfasts.
Live sit-down breakfast. People want to get them. We're finding breakfasts are a bit more popular these days rather than evening, because people come into the city or come in to a central location, go to a breakfast meeting, do a few meetings, crack on with their day, and then they're all home and commuting back home before the rush. So let's say it's a series of breakfast meetings, but it could be anything. It could be webinars, could be podcasts. You could be doing a series of white papers, whatever. I would then look at it and go, right, who am I aiming this at? Who's going to be in the room? How many people are going to be in the room? Okay, fine. Get a bit of sense of that. And then I would be looking at the content of those events. So if we're covering AI and data and machine learning, it might be that I want to do a bit of an intro. I want to cover off some case studies. I'm going to do some practical learning. And we're going to have an expert talk about some of the things that can be implemented.
So you're still, right now, you're still talking about the breakfast briefing, the sort of thing that you're going to be doing anyway, that you're thinking about, could a sponsor be interested in this?
Yeah. And is there any gaps in my program that I might take out and try and get a speaker for free that I could actually flip to sell to a sponsor?
So you're thinking, okay, I'm planning this event, AI, machine learning, targeting our senior members or senior industry leaders, and I've got a gap where I need an expert to come and speak on a specific area as part of our conference program, events program, breakfast program. And instead of just running out and asking either your members who are experts in that area or companies that you think might be interested in that, what do you do, Carrie?
I then start to build that into my partnership proposal and what the offer is. So then I'd go, right, what do I want? I want one headline sponsor. I want them across every event. Their brand will be built in. I'm going to offer them to speak at 2 of them, because you need to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to sponsor every single one necessarily if there's only going to be 4 in a year.
Bit over the top. Becomes a sponsor show. Yeah.
So I'd go, right, we could speak at 2 of them, and in the other 2 you could maybe join a panel, or you could maybe just be in the room and network.
Yep.
So I'd do a bit of a balance, have a bit of a clear sense on what I'm offering.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have it all written down yet,
mm-hmm.
but have a clear sense of what that is and a clear sense of a bit of a value of what you might be looking for. Because it might be that you get a response that says, great, this sounds really interesting. How much are you looking for? And you need to be prepared and ready to go back with that. So I'd have a bit of a think about that. And as a bit of a ballpark, if I was getting, say, 20 to 25 members in a room talking about AI and data, say from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m., and they get to speak, and there's going to be some social media and comms around it, I would probably be looking at a range of, and it depends a little bit on the industry and the sector.
And the outputs.
So are you just having the events and then nothing afterwards? Or is there going to be something? But if it's just the events themselves, you'd probably be looking at between 30 and 45 grand if I was valuing it up.
Yeah.
And there are some, take it with a pinch of salt, because there are some things that would change that.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where you are.
Yep.
In larger cities, you tend to get a bigger group of members coming in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're more regionally based, you might want to slightly lower that. But I would say that is about right for a series of that type of event.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's obviously, just to be clear, that's not per event. That's for the entire 4 spread across the year. So anywhere between 5 and 10 grand per event.
Yeah.
Depending on the region, the numbers, the amount of marketing, and what you're going to do at the end. Is there going to be a report or something at the end?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I then sit there and go, right, I've got a bit of a sense on what I'm selling. I've got a sense of my value. I've got a bit of a sense of the program. And I've got a bit of a sense of the positioning and why we're doing these events. So now I would start to go, right, who would want to sponsor this? And obviously there's probably 2 or 3 areas that you'd always look to. You'd be going, right, who actually has products and solutions that address AI and data and machine learning and cybersecurity that our members might be interested in?
Or they might be interested in your members, like to sell to. Is that what you're
exactly?
To? Yeah.
And it's a very different proposition. So say your members are in procurement or supply chain, they're probably going to be buying in cybersecurity services on the regular. So there'd be very different positioning to if your members are buyers of things like this, or if your members are in the HR profession, where obviously AI and data is being talked about in terms of people and talent and retention and engagement and multi-generational learning and ethics behind the use of it. So you're much more in a more of a consultancy sphere of partners who might be most relevant to that.
Yeah.
So
Where your members are more like influencers of the decision making around that rather than the actual buyers.
yeah, exactly. So I would always then start by doing some basics of researching, and I'd need to learn a bit about AI and machine learning and data in my industry as well, because as much as I'm building out the partnerships in this space, I need to be able to talk about it and how it's affecting our industry and why it's a hot topic and why we're delivering these events.
Yeah.
So I'd start to do some reading. I would do some across the board research. I would be doing some keyword searches on LinkedIn, on Google. I would be looking at AI and data, insert your industry, do some reading. I cannot push enough how important it is to try and embed yourself and understand a topic, because the more knowledgeable you are to a sponsor on a call, the more you can talk about it. And you can caveat this on a call. I always do. Now, I'm not an expert in this area. I'm not a ex-professional. However, this is a key topic area for us. Members need information. They're asking us about this. It's a key part of our membership and profession map, given where the industry and where everything's going. So for us, this is a really core program of work to share knowledge, share information, support peer learning, share case studies. You need to have I always say this a lot, a small amount of knowledge on every topic area that affects your industry and your membership.
Yeah.
And that's also what comes through in your research. So go and have a look, see who's talking about it, see who's in the news, using keywords like AI, machine learning. Say you're in the HR industry, people profession, HR director said. But trying to get under the skin of who's talking about it externally is also the companies that are confident in this area and are pushing out their work in this space. So I'd be doing some research and starting to create a list. You can create that list wherever you need to, in a Word document, in an email, in a spreadsheet.
On a pad.
On a pad, though an environmentally friendly, recyclable pad.
Exactly.
Digital better.
Yep. Lose the paper, people. Lose the paper.
No more paper. Write it down.
Yeah.
Write a list of all the companies, but also, most importantly, what's that link that you've found?
Right.
Have they written an article? Is there a blog you found? Did they do a LinkedIn post? Is one of their directors in the news at the moment being interviewed about AI and its dangers from an ethical perspective?
Yeah.
Find that link.
The hook.
And I don't mean a physical link. I don't mean find a link as in a HTML link and put it in your positioning.
You're talking about the connection.
The angle.
Yeah.
What is the reason for you to reach out to this company? And that is what you hook your entire approach around.
Yeah.
So if I was doing some initial pipeline's a word I use for when I make a list of companies and contacts to go out to for an opportunity. I make a list. I start off small. I do a list of 10, top 10.
Yeah.
Find my contacts. And for a series of events in this area, I would be finding 2 key contacts probably.
Per each company.
Per each company.
Yeah.
Normally, sometimes they might have a head of sponsorship or head of partnership, a head of marketing, head of events, or they might have a director of AI, learning, cyber.
Yeah.
Someone who's responsible for that business area in that corporate.
Who also would have direct either responsibility to grow and win new business in that area as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So find multiple contacts, because whilst you're searching that company, it makes sense. Look out for all those job titles, who they are and what they do.
Yeah. And LinkedIn's great for that.
Yeah. It's great for that. And you don't have to have your sales navigator level. You don't have to pay for anything.
Yep.
It's about taking the time to look for the people that sit in those roles and who might be responsible for this. So you've got a real reason to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Because just going to the head of PR who's on their website, it's not going to work.
No.
The reason they're on their website is a very different reason to be receiving unsolicited approaches about event sponsorship.
Yeah.
If it's a research opportunity that's going to have a whole bunch of PR and media attached to it,
Different story.
go for your head of PR, because they are going to be interested in what you're saying because it has a PR element attached to it. So I create that list. before I've even reached out to anyone, I create a list of the companies, list of the people that I've found, and what the angle is that I'm approaching around it. And I use an email first approach. So I craft a really strong first, we call it a pitch email. And normally it comprises a few key things. It has an introduction around why you're approaching them.
Yep.
So, dear Sally, read with interest your latest blog about AI and the impact it's having in regards to Generation Z learning in the workplace, which prompted me to contact you. I'm from this organisation. I'm reaching out to you specifically because we are launching a series of events in 2024 all about AI and machine learning. Given your focus in this area, I thought there might be some synergy. I'd love to have an exploratory conversation with you.
Yep.
A few tips. Write, rewrite, and check your emails. There is nothing more embarrassing than leaving the wrong company name in there, not spelling their name correctly.
Oh gosh, we've seen so many of these.
Like
Blanket
check the
emails
spelling.
that just go out to multiple companies with no personalization. Guys, just don't do that.
Don't do it. They don't work. Or even if you see them speaking on the news or in an article, you could say, Dear Tony, I read with interest your latest interview on BBC where you're quoted talking about what you're seeing in the insurance industry at the moment, which prompted me to reach out to you.
Yeah, we've got this amazing opportunity on X.
Yeah, it shows that you've done your research. It shows that you found them and that you're linking it to them as an individual and what their probably KPIs and objectives are. So all of this groundwork really makes a difference.
It does.
Because
a huge difference.
Buying a list off a sales agency and firing out a blanket email with the proposal attached, which is going to go into junk folders, just doesn't work. The more personalised, the more bespoke, the more it shows that you've looked at their organisation and their sector and their clients and what they're doing, what they're putting out there.
Yeah.
Your response rate will be much higher. And then you go from there. But they're probably the top little steps that I take to really get the engagement. And if you're getting between 40 and 60% response rate, which is what my team are looking at, that means you're doing it right. If you reach out to 20 companies and you get 0 or 1 response, there's something wrong. Always take the time to re-look back at your email. Is there a reason it's not working?
Yeah.
Have you missed a key point? Have you not explained who you are or where you're from? Have you made an assumption that they know who you are?
Yeah. Always describe yourself in a short, snappy sentence. Not yourself personally, obviously. But
Hi, I'm Carrie Allen. I'm a Virgo.
No, it's the organisation. It's that value proposition. You need to really fine-tune that one sentence that says, we represent X number of, or X industry that does X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Don't ever make an assumption that they know who you are. Of course, unless you have a look at their LinkedIn profile and you notice that they're a part of one of your groups, that they follow you on LinkedIn, etc. In which case, you could add in a little one like this says, for background information, I'm from X. We are the industry-leading professional body representing 25,000 members in this sector. We've got a real focus on driving change in this area, this area, this area. If you spot that there is some sort of link there, don't just ignore that. Just tweak your email slightly.
Yeah.
Something as simple as saying, in case you're not aware, or for background, or I noted that you're already in one of our groups, but just, in case you haven't engaged with us recently, this is who we are and this is what we do.
Yeah, so you caveat. You don't want to teach them to suck eggs.
No.
But at the same time, you want to recognise the fact that they may not have engaged with you for a while. And I think one of the things that we also experience is people who are speaking at events or presenting or writing reports or blogs love to get recognised. They love to get noticed. And I'm not saying that they're sycophantic or you need to be overly praising them, but individuals genuinely like to know that their work has been recognised and that you've actually joined up the dots and recognised there could be an opportunity for them to promote their products and services within an industry that that is of interest to them. Exactly.
So I think the key takeaways around this area are do your legwork, have a clear understanding of what you're pitching, why you're pitching it, do your research, take the time. You know, it might take you 15 to 20 minutes to tailor each email. That is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's about quality over quantity, taking the time, reading it, because 4 hours well spent on really solid pipeline is a much better than buying a list and shooting out 40 emails to people that are the wrong person at the wrong level with no tailoring. So I think for me, it's do your research, be prepared, take the time to do the reading, and then take the time to get the email approach right. And you could do LinkedIn emails as well. Yeah. They do work when you get the right person, but you've got a lot less space in that. So you have to be even more specific.
Down. Yeah. And don't cut corners.
No.
Don't cut and paste. Do not cut and paste, because you leave yourself wide open to errors, and sponsors hate that.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing worse than having the wrong brand name or one of their competitors listed in your email. So, and just be mindful of little things that, go into your junk. Don't put links in your email. Don't use any language that you think might get picked up in spam.
Oh, subject header. Really important.
Yeah.
Missed that.
Really key is that subject header that you've got at the top of your email. So make sure that it's reflective and it's going to get picked up in their inbox. So I quite often put the company's own name into that.
Yeah.
Also who you are as the institute, as the association, and then either the topic or the specific thing that you're reaching out to them about. So it could be that you are from X associations. It could be X association and Aviva, for example. And then you might put a dash and say it's all about AI and machine learning in the insurance sector.
That's it.
That's all you need. You don't need it to be like, hey, we've got a new opportunity. You don't want to put the word sponsorship in there because they probably won't open it. It's more about leveraging the independence and credibility of your professional body that you work for.
Yep.
And placing that into the top. Even sometimes just ex-professional body and Aviva dash partnership opportunities, or working together, or AI and tech, future work. Play around with your subject header as well, because what works for one might not work for another. So always go back. So if you've been sending out emails for a couple of weeks and you're not getting the feedback or the hitbacks that you want, go and have a look at your subject box, your email positioning, and who you're targeting. Yeah. And always have that continual 360 review loop, because it might just be something really simple that you're missing.
Yeah. I've thought of another one, I think you touched on it, like batches. So if you've got a list of 100 contacts, or you've got an existing database in that area, so don't send out a blanket email to your entire database hoping to God that they're going to open it and be interested in the opportunity. So Carrie's already talked about how you can narrow that down. But test your email in batches. So if you do have a qualified list of, say, 30 companies, send them in batches of 5 or 10, see what kind of response you get, and then fine-tune and hone in that email positioning if you have to. Really important.
Yeah, definitely.
You've been listening to Ali and Carrie in the Sponsorship Warehouse. As you can tell, we love all things sponsorship, particularly for the membership sector, and working with extraordinary, amazing business-to-business brands. So make sure you stay tuned and check out our next podcast.